Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Melon, and today in this video we're going to be, I guess, refurbishing, I don't know if you can call it, modifying this piece of furniture. This is our dining room table that I've taken while asking. And what we're going to be doing is making it much better by converting it into a table tennis or ping-pong kind of table. So we got this net, which is really cool. It clamps onto your table. And you basically have your own table tennis without having to have a dedicated table tennis table. That's quite a tongue twister. But what we're going to be doing with this piece of furniture, we got it from a charity shop. We've been using it as our dining room table. It's £5 from the British Heart Foundation. So go pick up a piece of furniture. There's some really good stuff. We can tell this is actually wood, which is crazy because most of the furniture today is all chipboard. So yeah, it's really nice wood. It's clearly a bit old, but what we're going to be doing is sanding it back and using some cactus, one of the Neptune colours, and some snow in order to make it look like a proper ping-pong table or table tennis table. Yeah, let's get started. First, what we're going to be doing is running over the whole thing with these. These are big wipes. They're basically industrial wet wipes for men. So we're just going to try and get as much of the rubbish on this table as we possibly can off, so that we can sand and paint without getting any rubbish in it. So now that the place smells entirely of oranges, due to the citric acid that they've put in to break down anything that you're, I don't know, touching with it. That's the reason I'm not using gloves, because it's not dangerous. These specific ones we get, check yours. I don't want to be responsible for any people's skins burning off. That would be really bad. So yeah, check your packaging, make sure that you need gloves or not need gloves. So what we're doing is removing the lacquer using the orbital sander, 60 grit, so it's fairly rough. We're also going to be setting it to the max speed that it can go. We're just trying to get this stuff off as soon as possible. Got it hooked up to the dust extraction so that we don't have dust everywhere. Hopefully we don't destroy too much of the wood in the process, because we want to keep as much as possible, because if we do in the future want to restore it to a really nice piece of furniture, 'cause I'm sure some of you are going, oh no, you're destroying a really nice piece of furniture. It was in the British Heart Foundation, right?
We're on lockdown.
Yeah, we don't have much to do, to be honest. With that out of the way, we're going to be swapping to an 80 grit. We've taken most of the lacquer or varnish off. You can tell that because it looks horrendous. We're not trying to sand the wood because we want to keep as much of the wood as possible. We're just trying to get that horrible varnish off that's really old and not great. And I don't think we're going to go any higher. We may go to a 120, but we want to give the paint something to key onto. We could take the whole thing apart and use the orbital sander for everything, but instead of doing that, because I would like a dining room table relatively soon, and these hinges may never line up again, so I'm just going to be taking a hand sander and just going in between the gaps. we're now going to be moving on to the brush attachment for the vacuum cleaner, just to try and remove as much of the dust off the table as we possibly can before we probably move on to a tack cloth, just to get the last little bit out. As you saw, we ran over the whole thing with the vacuum cleaner, but there'll still be some dust left in the grain that we can't get to with the vacuum cleaner. So in order to sort that out, we're going to be using some tack cloth, running over the whole thing, making sure that we've got as much of the dust off as we possibly can, ready for the paint. We've just run over everything with the tack cloth, so now we're going to be moving on to marking everything up. But something interesting about this table, because it is quite a bit old, and these kind of extra panels were clearly added a long time after the table was originally built. It's very weird because these aren't perfectly flat; they're slightly angled, which makes it very, very interesting when playing table tennis. We're actually going to keep that because it really adds a new dynamic and makes it so much more interesting. It makes it feel like you're playing on a bigger table. So let's get marking and probably masking. So as you've seen on that amazing time lapse, it's really interesting and cool. And you should totally subscribe to this YouTube channel because it's amazing and the best quality content you've ever seen on the YouTube platforms. This side is 62 and that side is 63. That's centimeters. I don't use metric. It's not a massive table and I'm also massive. It's just metric. But yeah, so we're a whole 10 millimeters out. So I'm getting a guess and hopefully it's good. But I don't know. So I've measured these two leaves that come off the main bit of the table and they're basically the same. So we're just going to be measuring the main bit in the middle because that would make it much easier. We're moving on to everyone's favourite section, painting, finally. So now what we're going to be doing is painting all around here. We're going to be using a roller. So in order to get the effect that we want, we don't really want to be painting over, where we've already painted. We want to get the brightest colour we possibly can. Luckily that's fairly easy with the Neptune colours because they've got snow, which is basically as close as you can get to lead white without actually using lead. So yeah, that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be painting around all around here and making sure that we have enough white on there so that when we mask it off and then start with the green, that we don't have to go back and touch things up. Let's get started. Alright, so I've just been taken off 2 of the clips and I've noticed that they have the most amazing sound ever, so I'm going to show it to you? Yeah, I guess so. So I'm sure you can put your hand there and cover the sound, but if we try not to shatter the camera lens, hopefully, it is the most amazing sound. You can block it with your hand, but don't be boring, it's an incredible sound. I highly doubt the microphone is picking up on how good this is. I love it. We've allowed the Neptune paint to dry up overnight, so now our next task is to use the low tack frog tape. This is really good stuff. We've used it on some of our other projects and it is absolutely incredible. It doesn't touch the paint at all. I do recommend this stuff over standard masking tape because it will give you the sharpest edge you've ever seen. So we're going to mask up all the lines that we need to keep white and then we are going to be getting ready for the cactus. So hopefully you're starting to see how we're planning on making the white lines really nice and clear. So now that we've covered up with the low tack frog tape, which I'm hoping will turn out amazing, I do recommend also having some fishkas. These are the best scissors in the game, and they'll allow you to get a really square edge on your frog tape, because this stuff is quite expensive. I recommend getting a good pair of scissors and treating them well, because if you do that, then they will last forever. But if you keep on buying like £2 scissors, then they're just going to fall apart and fall apart. So basically get these two products, they're really good. We're now moving on to painting. We've got the cactus paint, we've also got the Hamilton brushes. These are really nice brushes. I've used them for all the previous projects, I haven't mentioned them yet, but they're using pure synthetic, so there's no weird horsehair and it won't come out while you're painting. So I do recommend these brushes. We're using a 1-inch one just for in between the leaves, but the vast majority will just be using a roller. I'm pretty sure you could get this at a pound shop and you'd have the same effect. I haven't used a quality one, so if they are better, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be using this one for the vast majority of this project. I've just finished the first coat of paint, and in between coats what you want to do to keep your paint nice and fresh is cover it in cling film, just standard everyday cling film that you'd find under the sink in the kitchen, just to make sure that it doesn't dry up, start flaking or anything. We've now let the paint dry for a bit. It's now dry to the touch, so we're going to be peeling off all the frog tape. This is basically the most satisfying part of the project. So you just take the corner here and look at that edge. Look, it's perfect. Oh. There is no sharper edge you will find on a piece of furniture that's like 100 years old. So we've peeled off all the frog tape now, and it looks amazing. We've got really sharp edges, and that's because AJ, who recommended frog tape to my dad, which is how he found out about it, is the whole reason that we have really nice sharp lines on this project, and basically made it. I bet if we used normal masking tape, it would have turned out horrendous. Thank you to Alex Sale for providing these stirrers, coffee stirrers, to my dad a long time ago, I think 6 years almost, but we've used them for a bunch of projects, and I think we'll continue to use them for a long time. And thank you to Omar for providing this, which is the net that clips on. The reason we have these little like notches is so that that slots on and then you can drag it across. So basically the whole inspiration for this project is making a table tennis table when we want it, and a normal dining room table when we don't. So yeah, I think I'm going to get my brothers and see what they think of it. Ruben, come in. Come in. What is your reaction to this masterpiece?
Oh my gosh!
What do you think?
That is sick.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to play some table tennis?
Yeah, I want to play some table tennis.
Let's do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and thank you to Neptune for providing the paint for this project. That was okay, but we tried again. Right. Oh, just keep on going, Ruben.
Oh my gosh. That was my fault, I'm sorry.
It definitely was.
I'm sorry.
Ball burn. Keep on going. Oh, too aggressive. Keep on going. Oh, that's cool. Right. Louis. Allow this. And that's how you get your brother. Yeah.